So we have our stencil on for today. We got lucky. We actually got it first try this time. A lot of times when people have such muscle definition, it can be very hard to place the stencil, especially here. I'll kind of draw a line on it. So chest is like a little easier than a back, but you know, I just press down the center and then like spread out from that way. There were a few things going on here. We have the castle, we have astronaut in the center, you know. We're gonna keep this V shape. That's just how I like to do my chest pieces. You know, sometimes people will like hug the pecs. I'm not in love with that look all the time. I like to focus on this diamond shape. So if we can stay in that diamond shape, awesome. We retracted a planet from this side just because he has this, but we have our Saturn on the other side. It goes nice with the shoulder there. We have room to come up and build on the trap. So if we want to keep that diamond, this frames the neck very well. Very happy with the placement. So today we're gonna be focusing on line work. We're gonna get all the line work done today. This piece does have line work. That way we don't have to re-stencil in the future, and it'll just be a coloring book for sessions to come. Let's get into it. So for the lining, I'm gonna use a 5, 9 tight, and an 11, create some separation. There is a lot going on in the piece, but I'm really going to be using the line work to create the separation. There will be shading, which will help, you know, but the shading is gonna be pretty minimal on this, or simple, let's say, at least compared to like a realism piece. Also, we have to factor in his complexion. So he has darker skin. So when tattooing darker skin, I always kind of raise the contrast because we lose some of that grayscale. Obviously, negative space, you know, on him isn't going to be as light toned as like on me, not this arm. So losing that grayscale, we're going to bump up the contrast to really highlight, you know, create some highlights the best we can, and shadows. So dark darks, and then going right to skin tone, eliminating some of that middle ground will just show way better on his skin. It'll be more legible. So that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna use, you know, good line work, some thick lines in there to create separation. We're gonna go really dark on our dark parts and increase that contrast. So when doing line work and having different line weights set up, I'm always planning my line weights before I go into the tattoo. Back in the day, years ago, I would see people like line out the whole tattoo, maybe in their smallest needle, and then use bigger needles to go over those lines and make adjustments. I don't do that anymore. I kind of just go more for the one and done approach. Meaning, like, if it's gonna be a 5 line, I use a 5. If it's gonna be a 9, I use a 9. Not a 9 over a 5, not an 11 over a 5, to really stay true to like what the line is. So for this one, I got this window right here. I'm gonna have these inside lines be a 5, which is kind of our mid-range needle. I think 5 is, you know, a strong enough line to hold the foundation of the window, but not too thick where it's gonna get crowded or bleed into the inside. So as you can see where it's stencil, I'm using this 5 line. And then this outer line, which is kind of more of just like an accent, I'm gonna use the 3. So now I'm just gonna go into it with the 3. And now, you know, I have a true 5 line and a true 3 line in there. That's easy, no problem. I think where it might come more into play is like on the outside. So over here on the outside, this outer rim, I'm actually gonna have a thick 9 line. So like the window, I'll keep 5. So I have my 5-liner right now. And then I have these smaller accent lines will also be a 5. So here, here. But this outer line will be a 9. So I know this does involve changing needles and maybe it's not as convenient, but rather than going over that outside line with a 5 and then hitting it with a 9, I'm just gonna hit it with the 9. So I'm just gonna go straight in with a 9. And you can see I already kind of had it on the outside here, and I get just that nice, true 9 line. And I'm just gonna continue that throughout the whole piece. What's supposed to be 5, 5, 9, 9, etc. There might be some times where you overlap, but I just do it this way because I feel like it provides more consistency in the line work. So we are 5 hours in. Sean, how you feeling?
I'm feeling pretty good, man.
Has it been rough, more on the easier side, somewhere in between, pain-wise?
Pain-wise, I felt it most in the center, around the sternum, but everything else has been pretty smooth.
What did you expect pain-wise coming into the tattoo?
I thought that it was gonna hurt like shit.
Be
but
rough?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna be really rough, but it really hasn't been.
Dude, I think like when you do that, when you like really prepare yourself for it to be terrible, it always works out better for you.
Yeah.
And then the ones that I've underestimated, like, oh, this will be easy, no problem, those are the ones that I just die inside.
I thought that maybe out of the 5 hours it would be rough for maybe 3 or 4 of them, but it's really been rough for about 20 minutes.
Nice.
Out of the whole session, so.
What inspired you to get this? What do we got going on here? We got the castle, astronaut, some planets.
I was cleaning out my old room at my parents' house when my parents decided to remodel, and I found a painting that I did when I was like 4 years old, and it was like of a castle in the snow, and it just resonated with me, and I took it to my new apartment, and now I hung it up, even though it's kind of like a shitty drawing. It's not really artistic at all, but it just gave me the idea to do this piece. Plus, I've seen the rest of your castles, and they all look sick, so it was just kind of like perfect timing that I discovered your profile.
You're like, I have this, John does shitty drawings, I'll get him to do it. He's like, hell yeah. Nice, dude. What made you choose the chest?
I've wanted a big chest piece for years now, but I didn't know what I wanted, which is the only reason why I haven't gotten it yet. And then when I found that castle painting at my parents' house, it like kind of all came together, and I just feel like castles themselves look good. It's a good centerpiece for a body because of all of the details and the line work that goes into it. So
yeah,
it just felt like the perfect chest piece to do.
I agree, man. I think the architectural, the ornamental stuff is really nice on the chest.
The astronaut and the planet was just to kind of give it its own uniqueness and make it stand out from just having basic standard architecture. I just wanted something to make it a little bit more different and something that resonates with me a little bit more, so.
Yeah, like give it its own theme.
Yeah.
Very cool. Is it just because you like that stuff, or was there something attached to that?
Around the time I did that castle drawing when I was 4 or whatnot, you know, in class when teachers would ask like, what do you want to be when you grow up and
Yeah.
stuff, at the time I wanted to be an astronaut. So
Really?
it was my way of putting the two things together.
When did you give up on that dream?
Probably when I was 5.
Damn, bro.
It
Short
probably lasted
lived.
about a year.
Short lived. So we're done for the day. We have all the lines in here. I'm really happy with the result. Change up the line weights. Obviously we have some thick boys, some skinny ones. I was hoping that doing this would make it more legible, more visible from far. I think we really captured that. I colored in a little bit of the planet over here. The reason I did that was because if you can kind of see at the top right here, it's very black, and I faded it down. And I did this so that when he comes back for the next session, I can see how that healed. That will kind of allow me or let me know what I can get away with in my shading process with his skin. With the multi-session pieces, this is something that I'll typically do, just kind of like a little test patch, if you want to call it. In the reference, that planet is almost black. So knowing that, it's a safe area for me to do, you know, a little test shading, see how it heals. If it ends up shading too light, it's not an issue. I'm going to come back and make that dark. But I'm going to see what kind of grayscale I get in that area when he comes back healed, and based off that will tell me how to shade the rest of the piece. If I get a nice grayscale in there and I can see a fade, it's like awesome, you know, I have more range with that, you know, and if I don't, I'll just end up bumping the contrast and really making the darks dark and the lights skin tone. So yeah, we're gonna let him relax for a little bit, clean him off one more time, get some progress pictures and call it a day. Good shit, dude.